We are waiting for the House Judiciary Committee to resume what has been a contentious debate as members go over the articles of impeachment against President Trump. A committee vote is expected to come later today. Here to talk about this is former Acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker. Thank you so much for joining us. What do you think was left unsaid in the past few hours?
Well, first, I'm glad we don't have to strike the last word before I get to talk to you. But,
right.
You know, I think what we've seen is really how dysfunctional this Congress is. And I know some of it's to be expected with the, balance of power in the House. But you see that no one, both sides have their heels dug in. No one is willing to relent on even the basic facts and circumstances surrounding this. And it's really, I think, a disservice to the American people who, remember, are paying 41 people in this committee to do their business and not to just enter into partisan wrangling.
So what do you think happens from here? I mean, if everybody's dug in and no one's changing anyone else's mind, what happens?
Well, I think we have a very interesting day ahead of us. We're going to continue to see both sides present their arguments with no one listening. There's no persuadables on this committee or really in the House that I can tell. But, one of my concerns is at the end of the day, they're going to pass 2 articles of impeachment. The first one's going to allege an abuse of power, which, as I've said many times, there's no elements to it. So it's in the eye of the beholder. And the Senate's going to get that and have to decide, do those facts lead you to believe and convict the president and remove him from office based on some, abuse of power standard that doesn't exist in the American jurisprudence. And then the second one, I think, is even trickier because it's the idea of obstruction of Congress when Congress didn't actually follow the typical steps of trying to enforce their subpoena and going to court and compelling these witnesses that they would like to hear from. So I think it's actually going to be a very quick trial in the Senate. I saw Lindsey Graham on earlier today describing, many Republicans that I hear from in the Senate, are expecting a very quick trial and an exoneration of the president. But, this is, again, there is a budget that needs to be passed, as Senator Scott pointed out, and there's so much other work that this Congress could be working on instead of this partisan impeachment.
So you don't think they should call any witnesses if it went to the Senate?
Well, so the Judiciary Committee is going to impeach with no witnesses. They had what are called summary witnesses, which wouldn't be allowed in a court of law, that essentially distilled down what the witnesses in the Intelligence Committees had said, only those selected to, I guess, support this case. So I would expect that the Senate will do the same thing that the House Judiciary Committee is doing, and that is have a summary of the case, listen to both sides, and take a vote. It seems that that's about all this case is worth right now.
Earlier today, we heard, I think it was Hakeem Jeffries, say that the president is a serial solicitor, that he's always soliciting for favors in exchange for something else. He's basically constantly abusing his power. What do you think about that?
Well, I disagree. And again, I've pointed to the call transcript as a prime example where the president isn't soliciting anything. What he's asking is the new president of the Ukraine to do what he said he was going to do, and that is eliminate corruption in the Ukraine so the American tax dollars could be wisely spent in supporting their war against the Russian insurgents.
But he mentions Biden specifically. If he said just corruption, that would be one thing, but he goes directly to Joe Biden and Hunter Biden.
Well, I mean, as somebody that's had a lot of conversations with not only this president, but a lot of folks, we human beings speak in shorthand, and we say things. And again, this call transcript reflects that on the president's mind is not only Hunter Biden, Burisma, CrowdStrike, all these things that he mentions, but in the totality, what I infer, because this case is all about inferences, is that the president is interested in this new president getting rid of corruption. And he even said that to Ambassador Sondland, as we've heard in the testimony.
All right. Matt Whitaker, thank you so much for joining us.